here we sit, and I made a note of the committees and who reported out on them, and all but one person was a state employee. So I think what you express are exactly what we've been experiencing. And I can tell you it's been a huge burden on the city, and we're simply saying we can't continue to do everything that's expected of us to recover from this while at the same time running a distressed city. It's creating an enormous hardship.
I'd like to offer something, please.
Go ahead. And then Dr. Sullivan.
Okay. Here's where I stand on the issue. I think what we're trying to do is address the recommendations. And I don't think if we were to vote on this and pass it, that it closes the door on the possibility of providing the funding. I think that may be a separate discussion. I think it's an important discussion. It's one that I would support, but I'm not sure that it has a place in this particular response here.
Dr. Sullivan, and one comment to Mr. Jones. While most of the people reporting out were state employees, speaking for myself, the vast majority of the people on my policy subcommittee were not state employees. Dr. Sullivan.
Given that this recommendation, the number 41,
yep,
focuses on lead service line replacement program, and that many of 1 through 10 require some staff, some work at the city level. I would say that I would still like to keep this number 11 as worded,
okay,
because we can't. And I understand that that there's still possibilities for opening the door for funding in the future, but I don't want there to be a recommendation that the city put forward its resources without also saying that, given the fact that all of this is not a result of the city's failure, that that the city should be provided the resources it needs to do all of these things.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm inclined not to support this just based on the wording, not the intent of where you're trying to go, but the wording of that amendment, that friendly amendment. I'm not inclined to support.
Yes, Dr. Reynolds.
Would it be appropriate that we table this recommendation for further discussion?
I was honestly thinking about how to do that. I think it's a vital issue that needs to be discussed. I frankly am concerned about this issue holding up the entire presentation of the FWICC recommendation consideration of the governor. You had earlier mentioned sort of a parking lot where we all sort of commit to. That remains within the discussion of FWICC, but outside of this program. Dr. Reynolds Sullivan, would you be open to sort of parking lotting this?
As long as we're clear on what the parking lot's function is.
And is it long-term or short-term parking?
Thank you.
Good question. It's more expensive short. No, it's short term. We can schedule this at the next FWICC meeting.
Okay.
Well, my only cautionary note is let's schedule it when we have a little further details on what it means.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Because that only goes back to my first concern, that there be a timeline, and thank you.
And I think I probably didn't explain it very well because you haven't seen it, but the project that Scott is working on basically has 3 different components to it in terms of tracking what's going on in Flint. There is the governor's 75-point plan, which is tracked. Believe it or not, it's already built. There is a FWICC follow-up plan, which gives the status and the next steps, and then there's sort of all the other things we're doing plan.
Like a resource column?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Harvey, for asking a very embarrassing question. He asked me how many items were in that column, and I can't remember if it's 44 or 45. I know I get it wrong. Scott, how many?
Yes, it was 44 recommendations out of the FWICC.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Dr. Laura.
Whatever. I appreciate the need to put this together, and I would also recognize that it's not just number 41, where we're essentially making recommendations that the city take on some
Yeah.
responsibilities without offering the city, or without ensuring that the
It's a
city
more
does
general
it.
issue.
Right, but to kind of echo what Mr. Jones said earlier, when we first formed this committee, it was to come to the aid of the city of Flint in the light of this situation. And I would just like to say that our work can't be considered anywhere close to finished with recommendations about what Flint should do unless we also include what resources the state commits to Flint so that it doesn't become in greater peril as a result of doing those
Yeah,
things.
point well taken. Okay, the status at this point, is there a motion on the amendment? Or what do you want us to do?
I withdraw my
Okay,
amendment.
thank you. The amendment is withdrawn. We need a separate vote, though, on recommendation 41 because it's still pending. So is there a motion on recommendation 41? Mr. Whiston, a second. George? I'm sorry, you have a last name, too?
Jamie Curtis.
Simply an unamended version of recommendation 41.
He had stepped out, so we had.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't-
The next meeting or when data was available.
I thought we were going to take this up at the next meeting.
No, we're going to take the issue up, the more global funding
Fine.
issue up, not 41.
Hey, Mike, I think it's important for the group to note, at least from my perspective, that this was a specific task, right? Each subcommittee was tasked with looking at these recommendations. That's not our sole work. Our work is everything that Dr. Sullivan's described. Our work is everything that Dr. Reynolds described. Our work is everything that Dr. Hannah Atisha pushes me on. And that's where we continue to go as a subcommittee. So I think it's very appropriate to take some of these major issues and say, here's where we need to go with the FWICC as a whole, and then figure out whether we need to assign those to the subcommittee. So I think whether or not something is included in this piece doesn't exclude it from further conversations in the future. I think we pull out what our priorities are and continue to look at them. So I just wanted to express my support for what Mr. Jones is saying, but kind of lay out what I think our perspective should be. Thanks.
And I just want to thank Nick for sharing that, and certainly Dr. Sullivan and others, because that is one of the questions that I wanted to raise is, now that the various committees have done this work, and I do want to express, really a heartfelt thanks for the work that has been done by the various committees, because I know that a lot of work has gone into it, a lot of time. My concern was, now that this item is not off the checklist, then now, how do we go forward? And so I appreciate you raising that, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about the implementation of now the FWATA recommendations.
Okay. Yeah.
Correction, they are now the FWICC recommendations.
Thank you. These are the FWICC recommendations of the FWAT. We'll have to figure out a way to wordsmith that. Stacy?
Jamie Curtis. Keith Cray.
Yes.
Mark Edwards. Mona Hannah Atisha. Harvey Hollins.
Yes.
Sylvester Jones.
Yes.
Chris Kalinsky. Nick Corey. Jim Koski. Nick Lyon.
Yes.
Mike McDaniel. Lawrence Reynolds. Laura Sullivan.
Yes.
Mark Valachek.
Yes.
Vicky Van Buren.
Yes.
Karen Weaver. Brian Whiston.
Yes.
Mike Zimmer.
Yes.
12 yeas.
Okay. Thank you all.
I want to thank Mike for doing that. He has many, many years of conducting votes, and so he does. I mean, ask him.
Older than dirt.
So I appreciate that. And first of all, I want to thank the committee and all the work that you did. It took some time, probably created some nuances in your schedule, but we really appreciate you all getting it done. Thank you to the Flint Water Advisory Task Force. and Dr. Reynolds, your efforts with that. The city as well in their responses, and they're as Sylvester clearly stated, working hard on a lot of ends, drinking water out of both ends of the fire hose, and so but they participated and gotten this done. And last but not least, I want to thank Stacy because all the heck that she went through and just pulling this stuff together and making sure everyone's on time and task and making sure all the papers are there and taking my last minute request at 12 midnight. Thanks, Stacy, for doing that. The next meeting is going to be at the University Center Michigan room. I think that's at Michigan State's. No? Here? Okay, I thought. All right. I thought we were moving to Michigan State over here. Okay, so we're still on the campus of U of M. I like the campus of U of M, just to let everyone know. I'm not trying to go over to Michigan State, but I just like the campus. And so that's September 9th. I will take agenda items. We have 2 parking lot issues that we will consider for next meeting. These next meetings will largely focus on a lot of the stuff that Scott Hippica's doing. So we want to begin to track and have this committee exposed to the outcomes and what's happening in the city. We'll try to parlay some of this stuff into a statewide. That's already happening now in some cases in terms of the legislative involvement, so that the intent of FWICC is to not only just focus on Flint, but actually recommend policies that impact statewide so other cities never have to experience what Flint went through. So that's going to be part and parcel of what we're going to do moving forward. And so if you have agenda items or things that you want to bring up, please let me know or let Stacy know. Are there any, let her know too. So are there any other comments from anyone in the room or on the committee as we begin to wrap up? We're about 5 minutes before closure. Any observations from the committee members? Okay, with that, thank you, and I hope you have a great weekend.